Mario has gone on a lot of adventures, but this might just be his craziest one yet. Recently, Bowser invaded the Mushroom Kingdom once again. Mario tried to stop him, but was unfortunately overpowered and got knocked away by the giant Top Hat. Now, because Mario is one of the toughest beings to ever live, he does manage to survive, but the blast was so powerful that it messed up his vision ever so slightly. This is how things look to him right now, and it would only get worse from here. But the only way to get him back to normal was to rescue Princess Peach, because she has an antidote for everything. So Mario began his adventure in Cap Kingdom. Now, he had been to this place before, but to him, it looked a lot brighter this time. But to be honest, that was quite convenient for him. This place is usually one of the darkest areas in the world, so a little bit of increase on the brightness made things a lot better. He easily made his way up the tower, took down Topper, and set off to the next kingdom. But when he got to Cascade, he noticed that all the damage had not kicked in yet, and his vision was even worse. He really couldn't see color or depth in any of the objects. This was going to make things more difficult, but thankfully the first moon could still easily be obtained, and after that, all we gotta do is capture the dino. Seems like it would be pretty simple, but the pencil-looking 2D textures made it really hard to hit that trampoline. But Mario eventually found his footing, no pun intended, and also defeated Madame Brood pretty fast. Now all that was left was to do chest clip, and we can... Oh, moving on. After taking a flight in the Odyssey over to Sand Kingdom, Mario noticed that his vision was a little bit better. Actual shapes were still a little hard to make out, but he could see color again, so that's cool. But because the vision was still not great, a couple of mistakes were made. Except for IP clip though. That definitely didn't take 2 minutes to get. But beyond all that, it was really cool for Mario to see this place in a different way. Some of the colors looked really interesting. The night sky and the desert actually looked really cool. And then of course there was the ice caverns, which were as painful as always. But despite the faulty vision, Mario powered through all the way to the end, took down Knuckletech, and got enough moons to leave. So Mario figured that Wooded would be the best place to go next. But this presented him with his most difficult challenge yet. To Mario, this forest just looked like glow-in-the-dark land. I mean, I know the trees block out the sun sometimes, but not that much. His vision was so messed up, it was really hard to see where he was going. There were some early successes though, one of them being Nut Clip, but that unfortunately failed when this wall got in the way. And sure, Mario had been here hundreds of times, so he could find his way around, but man, it was definitely not easy. Doing this jump up to the tower is not very ideal when you can't see where you're landing, and after defeating Spewer, the kingdom becomes even darker. Makes it pretty much impossible to see what's on this wall when climbing up it, and also makes it so that you can't see these targets until you're right up against them. Needless to say, it was a tough time getting to the end, but once he got there, all of the lights from Torque Drift actually came in clutch. This boss fight was so lit up that Mario ironically found it one of the most relaxing parts of this kingdom, and he was defeated with ease. Mario seriously hoped that his vision improved by the time he got to Lake Kingdom, and lucky for him, it did. Fittingly, in the water level, things looked like this, almost like a fish eye. The thing is though, having this vision was super disorienting. Mario couldn't really tell what was right in front of him or when he had to make a turn. Things seemed different depending on exactly where they were, and the Rango fight looked the weirdest of all. Honestly, if there was going to be a time to mess up this fight, it was going to be here. But of course, that did not happen for Mario. He got through it unscathed and left here in a snap. Now we were in Cloud Kingdom, and his vision had almost completely cleared up. It was still a little blurry in some spots, but it looked a lot better now. This could be where he defeats Bowser and gets his vision back permanently. But can you guess what happened? Yeah, Mario got shot down off the platform and had another long fall. Now his vision was all messed up again, and it was worse than it ever had been. Here he was in the Lost Kingdom, but all he could see was the purple tint from the poison and a bunch of shadows, nothing else. As one might imagine, the lack of being able to see detail made it pretty hard to platform. It was incredibly difficult for Mario to just see 2 feet in front of him. Everything just blended in with each other. There was no getting around it. But at least after triggering Klepto, there was a lot more safe ground. That made things a lot easier. And this one was actually finished pretty quickly. Would Mario's vision be any better when he got to Metro Kingdom? Well, a little bit. He could make out a few objects again, but it was still far from perfect. He could see outlines again, but they all got kind of jumbled from what he was looking at. But despite this, getting through the tower and the mech fight wasn't that bad. Again, it actually looked kinda cool. And once we arrived in Day Metro, you know Mario wanted to see the festival, even if it was with this slightly worse vision. So he gathered the musicians, turned on the power, and let it begin. Well, Mario still couldn't see color all that great, so it wasn't the best looking to him, but it was still fun to go through. And come on, it's Jump Up Superstar, how can you complain? So next, it was time to go to Snow Kingdom, and Mario's vision was still improving a little bit. Hey, at least he could see colors again, but of course he wasn't fully recovered, so everything just looked kind of blocky and tile-ish. This goes to show how well Mario knew this kingdom. The fact that right now, we're just looking at a bunch of colored squares, but we can still picture the kingdom that we know and love from that. That's not to say there were no difficulties here, though. For one thing, Moonclip wasn't even close, so instead we took this backup roll cancel to get to the racetrack early. And for the Bound Bowl, Mario beat this really quickly with a pretty decent time, but then while getting the rest of the moons to leave, he just had to try Snowdram. And yeah, it was quite difficult. The marking on top of the Odyssey is not visible in the slightest, so it makes it really hard to figure out where you're supposed to stand. Pretty much every time we wouldn't actually vault off Cappy, and one time we were so far misaligned, this happened. But then after that, Mario got himself readjusted, he nailed the jump, and got the last moon he needed to leave. With the power of the Snowdram coursing through him, his vision probably reached the best point yet. Maybe he could see slightly less colors than what he's used to, but everything was clear again. This almost reminded Mario of what it was like to be on the NES 40 years ago. Everything he could see was totally classic, and for Seaside, he felt right at home. Using that power, he was able to soar through this kingdom and beat the boss with no issue, and for Luncheon, things only got better. He felt another slight increase in his vision quality, and because of that, he could navigate perfectly because everything was just so clean. His vision was almost back to normal. Was this it? Had he beaten all the obstacles in his way? Well, he thought so, until the dragon came along and forced him to take another fall. This could only make his vision worse, and now it looked like this. Mario could only see outlines once again, and no colors. But when you think about it, because we're in Ruin Kingdom and we're fighting the dragon, maybe this helped a little bit. All we have now is a white background, which is a lot less creepy than what's going on here normally. Usually it feels so dark and haunted, but we don't have to see any of that now, and I think that might have helped to calm Mario down a little bit. So the dragon was defeated and we got the heck out of there. Using the power of this multi-moon, Mario got his vision back pretty quickly on the way to Bowser's Kingdom. Now the place looked pretty normal. It just had this weird light brown tint to it, kind of like watching a really old movie, which I guess is kind of fitting for how long Mario has been around for.
Yeah, back in my day, we didn't have these games growing up. We didn't have the technology to watch people play video games. We just played them ourselves, and that was good enough.
Mario, we're trying to keep the viewers watching here, if you don't mind.
Hey, what do you want me to talk about then? You want me to talk about how I just jumped on a couple of bunnies, scaled up a wall, and jumped on a mech and took him down like it was nothing?
Yes, that's exactly what I want you to say. Anyway, Mario might be aging, but his vision was still good enough to take down the mech with ease, so it just had to go to the moon for the final battle, and now things could only get better. Mario's vision improved quite a bit. It still wasn't perfect, he couldn't see colors exactly yet, but it was good enough for now. He raced down the moon, jumped up the wall, busted open the door, and saw Peach right in front of him. Again, he couldn't see perfectly, but he could see good enough to know that he had to help her. And when fighting Bowser, even though Mario had a slight disadvantage, it was still no problem. With 1, 2, and 3 hits, Bowser was defeated. And with Princess Peach in his presence, Mario's vision improved even more. It was almost perfect. So he fearlessly threw his hat on Bowser, picked up Peach, and battled to escape from the moon's core. Nothing could stop him now. He was invincible. He could see everything. No walls or falling rocks could get in his way. He sniped the last 2 pillars, opened up the wire, and blasted off. And with everyone escaped, his vision was restored. Everything was back to normal. And hopefully, Mario will not have a headache after that. And to all of you watching this video, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Really hope you enjoyed this because it was super fun. Like and subscribe for more, and I will see you next time.